Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're very much welcome back to this last portion of the Stoneybatter showcase tonight. And once again, I just want to thank each and every single one of you for coming out here today. Much appreciated. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's without further ado, it's my great pleasure as well. And this is the man who's going to introduce our panel for tonight. I'll step out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, your host of the Q&A, Mr. Fergus Kane. Second time I messed up fucking Fergus Kane. Thank you. Thanks, Gerard. Thanks a lot. And yeah, thanks for sticking around for the Q&A, guys. Appreciate it, because it was a great session of films. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed this session as well. So, what this will hopefully do for you is introduce you to 3 successful filmmakers, people who are successful in acting and film directing and everything else. And feel free to ask them questions, because I'm sure there's filmmakers in the room who'd like to learn from them. So, should be very interesting. So, to introduce, first of all, we have Maureen O'Connell, who is an award-winning actor, writer, director, producer, anything else, dancer, comedian, everything. So basically multi-talented. We have Claire Millane, who is actor, writer, comedian, and also runs Dublin Filmmakers. We'll find a lot about that later on. And Gerard Jordan, star of Fair City, actor, Steo Nash in Fair City, and founder of A Star Is Born drama schools. Give it up. So, as I say, jump in at any time that you want to ask questions. But the first one I want to ask everybody is, what got you into this madness? Okay, so why choose this career? Why choose this? So, Maureen, what was it that first attracted you to acting?
Acting or filmmaking or anything, basically?
Both.
Oh, okay. I suppose, well, I lived down in Wicklow, down in the sticks, and I was often a bit bored, you know. My dad came home with a big VHS camera, and he worked in UCD, and he was like a lecturer, but he taught agriculture, which is really exciting, so we'd have to go to farms and film them, you know, on tours. We'd bring the students and stuff and film cows and stuff, so he had it with him. And so one of my favourite things to do was watch films. And so when I saw this camera, I thought, oh my god, I can make my own films. And I began to be a little bit frustrated when I was shooting them. I was shooting fairy tales. I was like, why doesn't it look like Steven Spielberg, Indiana Jones? Like, what the fuck's the story? and I know edit suite or anything like that, so I used to edit in camera. And then I didn't have enough actors, so I played various different roles. I'd loads of different roles, put on a different wig and, you know, different like suit and stuff. And so it just came from enjoyment really, and playing around. And then from there I was like, I think I'll be a film director. So, yeah. But we'll come back to being successful. It's so funny that he's successful. I really probably should laugh.
That's a lovely story. Claire, I presume you have a similar story, growing up in Ballinasloe, County Galway?
Yes, I'm from down the country. It was actually Grease the musical. Actually, you played Danny. I just discovered there he was talking. But I went to see my local musical society in Ballinasloe, Grease the musical, and I was so obsessed with Grease. I got the soundtrack and randomly wrote a play to do all the Grease music, all the soundtrack, and got my friends involved. And I was the director, I was acting, I was the producer. And I think we all fell out at the end, and I think the CD went missing, so it never went on anywhere. But it was such a baptism of fire, so I thank Grease, my obsession with Grease, for getting into acting, writing in this crazy world. That's how I started.
Yeah, just for myself, I sort of couldn't believe that from a young age, watching movies and everything else, that I had an obsession with, you know, how do the actors, how are they doing this, and how are they storytelling, and then getting into the background of everything else. I was kind of always wondering, how do I do it, and how do I show that I can do that sort of thing. And I always think that where I grew up, there wasn't that sort of platform to show what you can do or showcase what you can do. It was always looking at movies, and that was my escape. I kind of looked at movies like the old star of movies, and Cool Hand Luke was one of my first movies I ever seen with my grandfather, and I just fell in love, and I was like, how's he doing that? How's he eating that many eggs? You know, he wasn't really eating that many eggs, but he was acting like he was eating that many eggs, and I was like, it's incredible. That was when one of the first movies I ever remember as a child, and from that moment I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to create something like that. I want to be part of something like that, and realizing that there's so many people involved was a fascinating thing to me, to say that, like, these guys are on camera doing this sort of thing, and how did they do it? And then realizing that there's a cameraman, there's a sound guy. That was my fascination. That was always my way of thinking, how do I become part of something that's so beautiful, to portray something so real? I always think Cool Hand Luke it was a great baseline to start, and that being my first movie I ever saw, I must have watched it about 60, 70 times since I was 4 years old till now I'm 35. So
that's the one with the guy with the glass and he's just going like this.
Yeah.
It's savouring it before he drinks the beer. Yeah?
It's Cool Hand Luke.
I'm thinking of a different film.
I think you're thinking of Shawshank, eh?
No, it's a different one. But
no. Cool Hand Luke was the eggs when he gets locked up and stuff, and he's with all these guys, and they have to dig all day and they're sweating. He was a bit of a rebel. It was always Paul Newman. Paul Newman was the main actor, and it was my obsession with that sort of, how did they do it and how did he act like he was eating that many eggs? Clearly he wasn't. I was just like fascinated from day one. But then I went on a long journey of not thinking about that sort of thing, and that was my first thing. And then after that, it was just like, I went into school. We did a short film with I believe it was Solace Project, and I was like, this is what I love and this is what I want to do, because we create something out of, we'll say, amateur actors and amateur directors and amateur sound guys, and I was like, how do I be part of this fully? And we'll come back to that later, because obviously you have more questions to ask, but I won't get into the whole story. But that was my first passion, was Cool Hand Luke, and then after that it was a journey.
There are three lovely stories actually. So basically it was a very early kind of dream for all three of you, really, and so it's fantastic that you followed it. So what's the next step then? For the next question, it's like, what training did you go for? Do you need training? Do the people here need training, do you think? Would you advise people to go for training, or self-taught, or what?
Is it actor training or filmmaking?
I suppose filmmaking generally.
Well, I mean, you don't need training. You don't need training for acting, and you don't need to go to film college either. The only things that they do kind of provide is, like, say I went to RADA in London, so I did 3 years there. So it's 3 years of acting, and you're being taught by the top kind of teachers in the world, and if these directors coming in that are always on Broadway or something, so you learn a lot from them, not just about acting but also about directing and about the industry and like about yourself as well, because you're going through college, and college is just great for, if you're studying anything. If you're studying geography, it's great, it doesn't really matter, it's just education, it's good. But you don't have to, and it doesn't make you a great actor, just to go to training or anything like that. And I also went to Ballyfermot, and so I have a diploma in filmmaking there. Again, I don't think you helped me too much, but with regards to filmmaking. But what I did do was I met loads of other filmmakers, and I watched loads of films, and then we analysed them. And films I would never have been exposed to, loads of French films, kind of like Godard and things like that, very experimental films. And so now I know how to appreciate films a little bit better than beforehand. And I know lots of people want to make films. So I have a bit of a network. So network at colleges is good. But no, you don't necessarily need it.
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest thing that people get from college, is a network that they carry with them through it. Yeah. Did you find that fair?
Yeah, I did the full-time Gaiety, which was over 10 years ago, and it's training is extremely expensive at the moment, and it's very prohibitive. I couldn't do it now than I did it 10 years ago. I suppose with training, it's kind of a personal choice. For me, it helped me a lot with my confidence, and it's a bubble, because they push you, and you get to play all different parts, all different ages. When you get out, it's very hard to get work, I find anyway. But there's other ways of doing things. Like I started in amateur dramatics. That is the most amazing. It's free. There's usually amateur dramatic groups all over Dublin and all throughout the country, and be part of short films, like, you know, Dublin Filmmakers, the group I run, is a voluntary organisation. You know, you turn up there and people are in films. I think that's the way to go about it, because it is very, very expensive to train, and it shouldn't stop you. It shouldn't stop you doing training, you know, to become an actor.
Yeah, 100%. I believe everybody has the ability to act or perform in their own mind. You know, it's something that made me, and I'm sure there'll be a question later on, but it made me want to create the drama academy that I have on a pay-as-you-go basis. It's not more so like if you go to, I remember, like I told my mum and dad years ago that I was interested in acting. They went and contacted the Billy Berries at the time. It's too expensive. Cannot do it. Like, it's just, it's one of those things where it's like, I know I'm not saying I'm as good, but you have to have that confidence in your head to say I'm as good as that person, but I can't pay for it. So nobody should be restricted to performing. If you feel like you can perform, you can act, you can tell a story, that's all you need to do. We need to be good storytellers, basically. That's what I believe. I'm a firm believer in, you know, everybody needs the opportunity or the chance to perform. And once they do that, you'll be able to see what they're about. You know, don't get me wrong. There's certain things you watch and you go, that's a bit shit, right? That's fine. But we get better through doing it. And if you don't get the chance to perform, or you don't get the chance to tell your story as it is, you'll never get better. It's like being a boxer. You get punched in the face so many times, and you're a professional boxer. I guarantee you those boxers got hit 1,000,000 times before they were good. You know? Same with acting. You gotta keep doing what you love. If you're passionate about it, if you're passionate about writing, directing, if you're passionate about anything, you're gonna get told no over 1,000,000 times. I've done 6 auditions in the past week. I've told no to all of them. That's the way life is. Life is the exact same as acting, and life is like acting is just a stepping stone on what you want to do. These guys obviously directed, they're comedians. They'll tell you, I'm sure she'll tell you, there's times where you get no laughs. That's fine, right? But it's about that one joke that kicks with people. You kind of go, that's the one. That's the path I need to go on. And producer, director as well, Mom, I'm sure will tell you as well. And I've looked back at some of my stuff. I don't watch my stuff very often. I know that sounds strange, but when I do, I kind of go, that was shit. I wasn't good there. Or if I have a bad performance and I say to myself, you know, I need to watch that scene. I think that was really bad. And you look back and go, that was actually all right. But you'll only learn from doing. And you should never let financial stop you from creating. Creating is the biggest part of being an actor, being a director, being a performer, being a writer. It doesn't matter what you do. Once you are creating and making mistakes, it's only going to make you better. That's my big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that deserves a round of applause. That's inspiring stuff.
Especially when you have phones now. Everyone has access to a phone, you know. And I've learned more from my failures than I've ever learned from successes. Like, I've made some horrific films. Do you know what I mean? I can't even look at them. And I've been, like, I even had a show, and my own show I wrote and acted in, and I had no audience one night. But we went on anyway. But I learned so much from that than I've ever learned from my successes. You know, it's nice to have a bit of success as well, you know, to keep you going, or the jokes that work. But you do learn a lot from failure, you know, I think we'd all agree with that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I just come back to success. When you're so successful, pull up my chair. Am I successful?
Yes,
I'm the
you
last
are.
one to know.
Yes, you are.
No, because it's just a string of failures, and then you're just like, and someone asks you to do Q&A, you're like, okay. You want to see my failures?
There's something very Irish about people not being able to admit they're successful. I mean, you're officially Irish, all of you. But actually, Jordan showed that thing about that lovely documentary about Michael Collins and that film there. And I was at the 20th anniversary showing of that on O'Connell Street, the cinema there. And there was a Q&A afterwards, and they asked Neil Jordan, you know, how many times have you seen the film? And he said, I haven't seen it once in 20 years. Because he can't watch it, because he's just too critical. It's that self-critical thing. That leads me on to my next question, nicely, smoothly, which is challenges. So just a show of hands, who are the actors here? Oh, quite a lot, okay. All right. So this would be quite relevant to the actors. Challenges now you can apply to acting or filmmaking. What's the greatest challenges that you come across, and how do you overcome them? It's a deep one.
Challenges. Let me think. With acting, I suppose it'd be support. From my own point of view, it's lack of family support. As in, like, what are you doing now? You're still doing the acting. Can't you get a job in Fair City? Sorry. And I'm like, well, if Fair City would audition me, I would go in Fair City. But because I'd love a job in Fair City. But yeah, so this is kind of what I get constantly. And they don't come to shows when you do get them. And then if they do, they'll just criticize you. So it's just really hard because you do download that into your brain. And so then you start criticising yourself as you're talking about. So it's to become aware of that and to try to eliminate it as much as you possibly can. And that's just acting. And then I suppose with filmmaking, my biggest challenge, what I've found is sometimes I'll have a producer. Now I've usually produced all my own stuff that I direct, but I have found sometimes I'll have a producer and they will not do the job, and you don't know that they're not doing the job. And then, so like Haven, which is a short, I screened at the Lighthouse Cinema here with Stoneybatter. The producer didn't tell me that they had nothing ready. We were shooting in Kerry, and so a week before I found out, and I had been producing another short called Lambing, and just finished it. And so I had less than 3 working days, another 2 days, Saturday and Sunday.
This is for Haven?
Yeah, to sort it out. And so, but I mean, I sorted it out, but it was because I'm an indie filmmaker and I'd done tons of shit before that. But like, if I hadn't had that experience previous, it just would have fallen to pieces. So I had to organise accommodation for Dublin actors and Dublin crew, everyone going down to Kerry. I had to schedule the whole shoot. It wasn't scheduled. There wasn't any proper first AD, which is like the general of the set who runs it, and I had tons of stuff to shoot. Yeah, and there was loads of kind of unhappy crew who weren't communicated with by this producer. And the producer wouldn't turn on his phone all the way up until the day of the shoot. And then he arrived and he came with only one actor. And the night previous he crashed into a ditch with that actress, the elderly lady. And then when I was like, okay, we're nearly ready to go, and I was trying to keep it really calm and not, I didn't want to give out to anyone. You don't want to be negative, you know? And so what I said, you know, so where's the actress? Where's Bontha? She's the little 12-year-old actress that we had. And he went, oh shit, and he'd forgotten her, and she was in Killarney, which is a 40-minute drive away. And so then he sent one of his mates to go get her, who was uninsured in his car, and when they picked her up, they crashed into another car. And so she arrived on the set shook. And so I had to begin the shoot like that.
My God.
So it's lack of support sometimes that I find. Yeah.
That is, a lot of times there's more drama behind the scenes than there is in the thing. But what Mo forgot to leave out there is that film went on to win lots of awards and was on RT Haven. Well, it was on RT recently, about 6 months ago, wasn't it? A couple of times actually.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah, beautiful film. So check it out. Claire, challenges.
Challenges. I've had some crazy challenges. Even created a show about it called Failure Party, which was a failure. But just fear and doubt and terror, especially when you're an actor or writer, because you feel very exposed going on the stage, and especially in comedy, because you know the punchlines, you begin to doubt yourself, like, is this funny? Will they laugh? And it's in stand, I do a bit of stand-up as well, and it's immediate feedback. But you have some nights you feel so humiliated. You're like, I'll never do this again. And then you do the same joke the next week, and people laugh. And you're like, oh, I love this. But one of my biggest challenges, I did a show, I wrote it, and it took me 2 years to get on. I was booked into a theatre, and the theatre closed for maintenance during my 2 weeks because of the flood. And then I did it in the International upstairs. They couldn't afford to rent a theatre, and they threw away my set. And then everything was going wrong. One of the actors' mothers got sick. Then on opening night, the actor got sick. And I was in the show as well, my own work, so I was terrified. And he had the costume, so we did throw in the director with an improvised costume. He had a script in hand, and it was just a bit crazy. But there was only one person in the audience, so that's kind of a bit mad. And then the next night, A couple turned up and they realised they had to pay, they got up and left. So we'd no audience. But we went on anyway, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was the most exhilarating, craziest experience. And that was 2 years of work to get to that point. But it went on the second week and people laughed and it was good success, you know. But yeah, it's a huge challenge writing and acting in your own work, and terrifying. But you have to feel the fear, push through it, and just get it out there. Especially if you want to create opportunities for yourself, which I had to do a lot. But it does pay off in the end. I started getting opportunities by creating my own work. And even recently, I got into a short film with a well-known actor, actually Ruth McCabe. I think he worked with her and Michael Harding, because someone's watching my sketches. I didn't know she was watching my sketches, and this was a dramatic film, and I've spent a wonderful day working with these amazing people just by doing comedy sketches. But that's, yeah, just feel the fear and do it anyway is my
Good advice by Claire there, for all the actors in the room.
Yeah.
Good advice, Claire. Gerard?
Yeah, so I suppose the biggest challenge that you'll ever face as an actor is rejection. You gotta be willing to take it, you gotta be willing to take criticism. And if you're not willing to take criticism, you may as well pack up your stuff and walk out the door. But rejection is the biggest thing. You know, there were certain movies that I went for and I was like, geez, this is a fucking big movie. And I didn't get it, and I was devastated. My partner over there, I'll tell you, like, I was genuinely devastated. It was a movie with A24 with Hugh Jackman, and I was like, this is the one, like this is the one that's gonna make us, you know. And I kept saying it was a small, tiny part. It was called Robin. I believe it was the new make of the Robin Hood movie or something like that. I was like, this is the one, you know. I've 2 lines. It's easy. I'm gonna get it, right? So I put my head down, worked hard, and I was like, she was standing there with the camera, and I was there with the knife, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna get this, you know. It's meant to be this aggressive sort of guy, you know, with an English accent, and thought I'd done really well. I think I was right, that's it, sent, done. When you send that audition off, you cannot do anything else. It's in somebody else's hands. And what I learned from that was, it's in somebody else's hands. I could have the wrong hair colour. My eyes could look left and they didn't like that a little bit.
They don't like your eyebrows.
Or they don't like my eyebrows. Or they don't like my beard. Or they don't like my nose. But it doesn't matter what it is. Even if you think it's the best performance in the world, it's not. Nothing is ever good enough for anybody, because you're probably not the right person for that job. It's not about you. It's not about your talent or what you can do. It's about what they're looking for at that specific time, at that specific moment. So when you make your break or when you get your chance, you are what they were looking for at that specific time, at that specific moment. So sometimes don't be so harsh on yourself. Maybe you did a shit audition, that's fine. But always think every audition is shit. And that's my advice to any actor that's here. Think your audition is shit. Because you're not going to think about it too much. I was too obsessed with that audition because I was thinking, oh, the bigger picture, Hugh Jackman and all these guys are going to be there. Doesn't matter who you're auditioning for, if it's an ad, it's a movie, if it's a play, it doesn't matter. Forget about it. When you do the best you can possibly do and you've submitted it forward, that's it. You've done your best. If you don't get it, it's not that you're shit, it's just that they weren't looking for you at that specific time. That's what I'm a firm believer in. Maybe you could have done better. Maybe you can look back in the audition. But you're never going to get pointers off these guys. That's the thing. Off the big auditions, you're never going to get pointers. You're never going to get, oh, Gerard, you know, you moved your head slightly to the left at that time, or you forgot the words, or you fumbled the words, your accent was shit. Right? It doesn't matter. But when you submit it, you press that send button, forget about it, move on to the next one. And if it comes up, it's like, oh, I got it. That's the most amazing feeling you'll ever feel in your life when you get the audition. But never think you're not good enough. Always keep going, keep tracking through as much as you possibly can, because there's always going to be another opportunity around the corner. Just at that specific time, you weren't the right person, but the next time, always think the next time, I'm going to be the right person. But that's the challenges I come up against. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think it's huge. And also I'd advise every actor to sit in a casting session. Because I know you've cast a lot as well, but casting short films and plays, it could be just the person has blonde hair. Do you know, it's fascinating. It's rarely personal, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was casting a short called Home, and there was an actor that I'd worked with before, and he came in. I really wanted him to get the part, and I called him in especially. But just before he came in, we had Barry John Kinsler, who came in. And it's not in any way that one is better actor than the other. It's just that Barry John Kinsler was the part, and I didn't do any explaining to him. He just did it, and I went, well, there you go, that's it. Like, and Pascal Hogan was sitting beside me going, yeah, that's him. I was like, yeah, that's him. And then my mate came in, and I was like, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant actor, but he's not the part. And so it actually has nothing to do with you. And you have to really remember that as an actor. It has nothing to do. So just go in and show them your choices, which is your interpretation of the part, and enjoy it. That's what I'd say.
And Mo, is that about kind of saying, okay, I might not necessarily be able to get this one, but I'm just going to do the absolute best I can so that I'll be in line the next time?
Yeah, exactly. Like, make a good impression, as in just, be friendly, be polite, enjoy the audition, show them what you've got, and be happy that you're getting auditioned, because often, I mean, it's hard to get called for auditions. The fact you're in the room, you've kind of won already, really.
Yeah, very good. Your favourite kind of buzz? I mean, there's a buzz in this industry, isn't it? It's tough. We talked about the challenges, but what about the great sides, the buzz, the best thing you've been involved in? Well, what's the nicest, most satisfying thing?
As an actor,
in all 7 of your special projects.
Okay. As an actor, I suppose, well, just recently, because it's recent, is the show I did called The Devil Himself, which is a new play written by Paul Nugent, and it was put on the Smock Alley Theatre. And so I played the lead part of Lizzie Nutt, and it's based on a true story in Pennsylvania in the 1800s. And basically, her fiance calls her a slut, essentially, wants to break it off with her, and it's for another reason. But he's kind of lying about her, and it's all true, it's all these letters, and so I played that part, and then I won Best Performer from the Broadway World Art Theatre Awards. So it was weird, because it was a really small show, and like we beat the Gate Theatre, and we beat the Lyric in Belfast, and so yeah, that was crazy.
So there's a film I produced and did some acting in, and it was not a bit of a nightmare, but it was very stressful, and it was shot outside, and we lost half the crew, and then we found them again. I just said to myself, up on the beach, not North Strap, but up somewhere, I don't know where we were, like Bull Island, and I was like, why do I do this to myself? This is a nightmare. And all of a sudden, we got into the Chicago Irish Film Festival, and we got an all-expenses paid trip to Chicago. And then we got to go to Chicago PD film set, and they said, just play with all the props. And for 5 days, they looked after us and the other filmmakers. I hadn't been to America since I was 5, so you can imagine the excitement, all because I made this film that on Bull Island Beach, and I was just thinking, wow, this is so worth it. Look where this film has gotten me. Look at these people I've met, And then, of course, when I was doing my sketches, I applied for a part, and I didn't know that the director was someone I knew from 8 years ago, and she's been watching my comedy work, and then that got me a part in a short film, a very serious drama. So I got to work with Michael Harding, who I absolutely adore. He's the most amazing writer, and Ruth McCabe, and all through comedy, and this is a serious drama. So create your own work as well, any actors out there, because you never know who'll be watching your stuff, So that's why, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose like the biggest highlight for me personally is when you don't hear anything from a director. So if you do your bit, right, and you've learned your lines, you've done all the good stuff you need to do, you've practiced at home in the mirror a million times, you come and you do your performance, and someone comes around and goes, next scene. That's excellent for me. Because I know then, geez, that must have been a good scene because I practiced at home and I put in the work. It's like anything. If you put in the work, you're not going to hear too much criticism. I find, and I'll hold my hands up when I don't learn the lines or I don't practice at home. The director will say, let's redo that again, but Gerard, can you do this? And that's the worst thing you can hear as an actor, is when the director goes, you did that again, but a little bit more angrier, or can you make your character a little bit more upset? And I'm like, I should have known that before I actually performed. When the director says, good, next scene, it's like, okay, I've done my job here. And that's the feeling, when I do that at home, when I put in the work, I always find, and I'll say this to any actor, if you don't put in the work at home, you don't put in the work before you get to set day, and when you start filming, it shows. Because everybody else knows the lines, everybody else knows the movement, or everybody else knows what they're about. And if you don't know what you're about on the day, you stick out like a sore thumb. So, acting, whatever you do in life, if you don't put the work in the night before, you're about to perform, or you're about to do something, or before you go on stage, I'm a firm believer you should read it. Now, people have different opinions, but I'm a firm believer if you read the lines just before you're about to go on, it'll always help you out there. And you'll have it raw, you'll have it ready, and it's not just like robotic, and the director says, next scene, that's always like I go, alright, that was good. But there's certain scenes, still as an actor, where you go, I wasn't my best there, I'll watch that back. Because I don't watch much of my scenes back, but when I do, I kind of go, I thought that was a bad scene. Sometimes, 9 times out of 10, it's not. But you got to be critical of yourself all the time. And, for me, the biggest thing is when the director says next scene, because you know you've done a good job.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's great satisfaction in that, isn't there? And it takes the pressure off. If you do all the horrible work, the learning lines, and I always find learning lines like tidying up your house, your flat, and just doing something, because it is a nightmare sometimes, I find. But it's muscle memory. But yeah, it takes the pressure off of doing the work, and you just enjoy it, and that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but I just say, as a director, like, don't worry if you get direction. I love to give direction, and I love actors who respond to direction. So, if you're kind of talking to yourself in your head, going, "Oh no, I didn't do that well because she's asking me to do it more this or that," no, that's a good thing. I'm like, okay, this is great. We've got something great here. I'm gonna try this now, because I know the actor can do it, because they're open and they're flowing and they've done their prep work, as you were saying. But I will often want something different, and I'll want maybe 3 different versions or something like this. And when I go like that, when I get into that zone, it's because I'm seeing the actor has done lots of work, and I'm like, this is great, and I'm feeling really excited. So there's another color that's coming out, and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. Okay, let's push it a bit more, and see what happens. So don't worry if you get direction. It's actually a good thing. Directors love to direct. That's why we're directors.
That's interesting. 2 different good perspectives there. Questions from the audience for the panel? Yeah.
That when they say a casting director doesn't want you for a role, but they do remember you for something else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it happened to all of us. Because I noticed that when you go for one role, and you might be you're not right, but they if you just do a good job, like hopefully, or even if you don't sometimes, you never know what they could be looking for. Like I'm from County Galway, look at someone from County Galway with my age profile or whatever, my hair colour. But yeah, they can call you back, isn't it?
Yeah, just on my side, I only watched an interview with the director of, I forget the name of the movie now, but Heath Ledger was 17 at the time. I think he was playing what's that movie with the Shakespeare movie where he did when he was 17? 10 Things I Hate About You. And the guy said Heath Ledger literally walked into the room and he was like, Jesus, this guy, no matter what he does, I'm gonna hire him for something, and that's what he said. And you think Heath Ledger's 17, and then by the end of the audition he was like, it's probably the only man I'd ever sleep with. That's what the man said. He said that. He said he's probably the only. If I don't hire him, he's probably the only man I'd ever sleep with. He's not even a gay guy, okay? And he's also 17. Yeah, as well. But he said there's something about him that can seduce me, that he's going to seduce the whole audience. And Heath Ledger wasn't acting in that movie. If you look at it, if you look back at it, that is Heath Ledger. He was himself the whole time. So, like, directors will know straight away. Like you said, you had a guy in mind, and somebody else walked in and go, fuck, he is the part. So they'll know within 10, 15, probably 20 seconds of the audition that is the guy, or that is the girl, or whatever it is, that person is the right person for the role. Yeah, so.
Is it true that, you know, if you're in like, you know, a workshop or whatever, and a director purposely does not give you directions and they say nothing, is that a tactic, you know, if you're shit, they make you, I'm not going to direct you because I don't want to, you know, make you believe you're okay. So is that a tactic used?
Well, I know there's some directors who don't say action and they just press record.
No, it's not
You know,
about
it's
action,
not-
no, it's
yeah.
about when you have finished your performance, they say nothing.
Okay.
About performance, if they don't direct you, I would assume, you know, is that a tactic to go, okay, I'm going to say nothing to make you, no feedback.
That's not good. No, that's just not good. That's not I would say.
No feedback is bad, right?
Well, no, it's not bad. It's not necessarily a comment on you. It's a comment. It's on them, really. You know, they're just an asshole.
Well said, Mo.
There's a lot. I would have to say, like, there's a lot of charlatans. There's a ton of charlatans teaching acting, by the way, or directing and draw out there. And I just kind of go, Jesus, like.
So a director should
Yeah,
give you
they
feedback.
should give you feedback. I mean, if it's in an educational context like that, a workshop, yes, because you're learning, so they have to do it for you, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, even if you know it's not educational, say you're doing like a scene from a play you're rehearsing or something, they have to talk to you about it, you know.
Yeah.
Now, as Claire was saying, sometimes when you're shooting something, it's really intense, emotionally intense, and sometimes you feel as a director, if I say too much, I'm going to get in their way. They're getting it already.
Yeah.
So if I give them a few takes, and now I've done this, I don't say anything. I go, that's great, and I just encourage them. I just go, no, yeah, just keep going. Because if I say anything, they're going to push it maybe a bit this way, or they'll hold back a bit, and they're getting it, and the flow is coming. So I just let them do it, and then at the very end, it goes, fucking great, we've got it, you know. But I always give them feedback eventually, but maybe not within the process because it's too intense. It's like an operation, you're opening it up, and it's like talking to the surgeon, their hands are going to shake if you kind of give them too much notes.
If they say nothing, it's bad.
Sorry, say that again?
If they say nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like, like, was this an educational context where you were training or something?
In a workshop environment.
Yeah, that's just bad, and it's not bad on you, it's bad on them.
Yeah, I suppose it's the workshop that should say something.
Absolutely.
It should be constructive for the sake
It has to be
of
constructive.
Because
It should.
if I'm going, well, what is this, am I? And we're all very needy as actors.
Of course, because you're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of course.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, no, that's on them, and they're just a bad teacher, like, and a lot of people just like a bit of power, you know, and so it's just a power trip, and it's like, just do some teaching, would you? Get over yourselves.
Yeah, thank you.
Especially casting director workshops. I mean, I got caught up in them years back in the UK, and there's so many casting directors running these workshops, especially in the UK, and you just turn up and it's just a money making, isn't it? Did you find that?
No, just like my drama school, for example, I teach kids, but like if I'm standing there looking at them like, yeah, okay, it's not good for you because you're not learning anything. Number one, you're paying for the event. Okay, so if I'm paying for something, I want something back. That's the way it works. Don't get me wrong. If you're directing a movie, for example, and you know you're not saying anything, it's probably good as an actor not when the director doesn't say anything because maybe they believe in you can go somewhere else, or you know you're not quite there yet, but you need to like, give a little bit more, and you might say one more take, but give a little bit more. But if you're at a workshop and nobody is telling you where you're going wrong or criticizing you, or they're not saying anything at all, is awful because.
And they approach you.
And can I ask a personal question? How much did you pay for this workshop?
A lot.
So go on, give us the figure.
2,500.
500.
2,500.
Okay. So if you're paying me 2,500, I'm singing from my microphone to you. I'm telling you exactly where you're going wrong. they probably think they're being artsy and different and blah blah blah. Look at me, I'm Steven Spielberg. But they're not. They're not telling you where you're going wrong. And that's the biggest issue anybody will have in this industry. And I'm sure these guys will agree. If you've paid $2,500 for a course and nobody's telling you where you went wrong, why are you in the course? That's it.
And sometimes they'll use A-list actors in their bios saying they worked with Mel Gibson, or they might have been AD, the fourth or fifth AD, you know what I mean? So it can be very misleading, but it's definitely, in my experience, it's a money-making thing. I think they banned them in the LA, didn't they? I think they did something like that.
Also, I will say one thing, casting director workshops are terrible. I'm sorry, but any casting directors out there, don't do a casting director workshop, right? Because they're not performers. They're just, oh, we'll cast that person if they look good for this role. They don't give a shit about you. I'm sorry, but they don't. And I don't mind saying that to their faces because they've rejected me so many times, right? But a casting director workshop is not going to help you. If you go to a workshop where somebody is like actually been in that arena where they've been, rejected so many times, they can show you where they went wrong. So like casting director workshops, I see them being advertised a lot lately. It's a big thing now. But it's $2,500, $3,000 for a pop. It's like it's shocking. I'd rather you invest $2,500, $3,000 in making your own film that you've written yourself, that you can star in, that you can send to an agent or a casting director yourself. That is more beneficial for you guys because you're going to learn a lot from it. And I'm sure your friends that'll say, your movie was shit. I'm sorry, but that's what we need to hear sometimes is that, that wasn't good. Your performance wasn't great. You didn't cry in that scene or you didn't laugh. That was not good. And sometimes you need that honesty around you. Like people like, good directors, people that are filmmakers that are making their own stuff themselves. I would always urge anybody to do their own stuff because that's something I'm looking at the moment myself. I'm in a thing where at the moment where it's good, it's great. When it pays me, it pays well. But I've got to do my own stuff. Absolutely. You have to do your own stuff. And I'd say to any actor, writer, director, whatever you're in, do your own stuff. Make mistakes. You're going to get better after each one.
And make your own stuff. So I graduated in 2012, couldn't get any work at all, didn't get an agent. And I was like, what do I do? Create my own work. And I won't name this person, but a very famous person I met up who was going to give me advice. And I said, I want to create my own work. I want to be an actor and a writer. And she said, you can't. You can't. Yes. I won't tell her who it is, but a very famous person. You can't do both. And she even rang up someone else to give out about me. Yeah, and because she said, you can't be do everything. You either have to be an actor or a writer. And people in my class who were just actors, they've completely given up. And the people who continued, like myself, no, I'm still going. That's the only reason I kept going, because I created my own work,
That's the fighting spirit, well done.
And like that, you see, Cillian Murphy has just won an Oscar, and he tells you the complete opposite. So not everybody is an expert in the industry. Cillian Murphy says, you can make a movie on an iPhone, and then this person is telling this lady here, you can't be a writer and director. Yes, you can. Nobody can tell you anything you can do. Honestly, just do it. Don't listen to anybody, because there will always be people in life, no matter what you do when you're successful or you're on your way to being successful, there's always going to be someone to drag you down, to tell you you're not good enough, to tell you you can't do it. Just fucking do it.
That's the spirit.
Absolutely. No matter if they're A-listers telling it doesn't matter what level. And this is a very famous person who told me this. Just say.
Claire will name names later. Kesh don't know.
Question. Yeah. How can I join the club?
Which club?
Would you like to be an actor or his class, his stage club?
My classes. You can come anytime, buddy. We have acting classes every Monday and every Saturday for your age. What age are you?
I'm 12.
Yeah, you're perfect for our. So 7 to 8 and 3 to 4 on a Saturday. So there you go.
Okay, we're coming towards the end, so I want you to do a plug of your. So while you're on, I want you to plug your drama school. So give it.
Yeah, so I started ASIB Drama Academy for the simple reason that you guys were talking about earlier on, the Billy Barry's, the Gaiety Drama School, and what you said just there a second ago, $2.5 grand. Mine is a pay-as-you-go sort of thing where you go, you want to come 1 week, that's fine, pay
That's
a tenner.
a great idea. There's very few places like that.
They won't do it.
Yeah.
They won't do it. And I'm not going to lie, I don't earn an awful lot of money out of it. But you know what? The kids that come to my drama school, it's something that I wished I had in my area when I was a kid. I didn't have that facility. I didn't have €10 a pop where you go, boom. And you come as you go. So, what I would say to yourself is, even if you're not paying for something, look in the mirror at yourself. I know it sounds so narcissistic to look in the mirror, but look at your performance in the mirror. Look at what you're doing. Start to read plays. Start to get involved in stuff like this. Like, this is an amazing event where you're getting information from amazing directors, comedians, and actors, and it's do stuff that makes you uncomfortable. You gotta do it. And my drama school, I started it for the simple fact that when I was a kid in Dublin 7, growing up in O'Devany Gardens, like Jordan mentioned earlier on, we hadn't got anything like that. We hadn't. It was all dancing and other things. I wasn't into dancing, so I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't know how to go about it. It wasn't until 4th year where I done Grease, like I mentioned with you, with Barry Keoghan, by the way. Barry Keoghan will name drop there as well. He was in the same play as me, and that's what got me into was being in school, and then I wasn't.
Sorry to interrupt, but you beat Barry Keoghan for the part, didn't you?
I did, yeah. But like, and it was only because I was more mature looking. I'm not going to say I was a better actor, because he's a far better actor than I'll ever be. Apart from the Liverpool accent, but other than that. But you know what? It's like anything. There's not enough facilities around our areas where it's affordable, because it's $2.5 grand. It's Billy Barry's are $190 a month. There's another drama school that's beside me that's $140 a month, and I'm saying, who's the teacher? What are they doing? A lot of the people don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't. They're not in real scenarios. They're not going through auditions. They're not like my guys that are with me. They've been seen by Louise Kiley. They've been seen by Shauna. I forget the other guy's name. Shauna Griffiths. Even though she hasn't picked one of our guys yet, but anyway, she hasn't, right? But they're being seen by these guys, and because we've the connections there with people, and it's all about connections. It's all about like the likes of this, for example. I'm gonna link up with Mo. I'm gonna link up with yourself. I'm gonna link up with everybody I can, right? Because I love. And by the way, do a short with someone you don't know. Do a scene with someone you don't know. If somebody contacts you and says, I'd love to do a scene with you, just fucking do it. Because you never know, like she said, who sees it? Your skits online, you never know who sees these things. You gotta keep just being relevant and being active and saying you're really passionate about this, because directors will see and go, that person's really passionate. I've lost my agent only recently. He passed away, Julian Benson, right? I've no agent at the moment, so I want to look out for another agent. I have to do that myself from scratch. It's hard. It's not easy. People might think, you're in for a city, you can get it. No, nobody wants to know. I've emailed so many agents at the moment. None of them are getting back to me unless I pick up the phone and go, hey, did you see that email I sent you? Oh yeah, have you got a show reel? No, I don't. Get one together and send it across, and we might consider you. So even if you're in something that you think is like, oh, it's for a city, people see it, blah blah, doesn't mean shit. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep producing. You gotta keep doing things. I've got a short movie coming out with my son that I only did because I wanted to film with my son, and it was good. It was called Going Camping. It's coming out in 3 weeks. I think one of my old friends done it, and I said I'd do it as a favour. But I'm relying on that footage because I need that to send to Louise Guy, or to send to all these agents and to see if they can take me on. And if they're not able to take me on, have a guess what? I'm still going to keep going because rejection is part of what we do. You know, Morgan Freeman, for example, didn't get his first role till he was 50. It's a long road. You've got to just keep going, keep plugging away. And my message to everybody in here that's an actor, director, filmmaker, whatever, doesn't matter. You're part of the arts. We're all part of the same journey. Keep going. You're going to get rejected many, many times. Even myself, I'm going to get rejected a million more times. And that's fine, because I know what's coming. You'll get that one phone call or that one little thing where people go, I believe in you. And that's all you need. So, yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Inspiring stuff. So Claire, you've had a great run with a decent proposal, really successful film,
Yes.
went all the way to Chicago. What are your future plans? And I know you're running Dublin Filmmakers
oh, yes,
as
I
well.
am.
You've done great work
Can I
there.
just say with the agent thing, so I did full-time Gaiety, had a showcase, I didn't get an agent. Do you know how long it took me to get an agent? After every year applying, I thought they'd really ban me. 10 years. It took me only 10 years to get an agent.
So you were saying I'm fucked then?
No. At least you're in First City. I love First City. But no, but I'm just saying like 10 years after going through full-time acting school, and I got at the right time where I needed one, and he's brilliant, you know. But yeah, so I run this group called Dublin Filmmakers, because I wanted to create my own work. I mostly was creating theatre, and it's hard to create theatre. It's huge, you know. I knew very little about film. I didn't do film in the Gaiety, and I saw an ad up on meetup.com, this thing called Dublin Filmmakers. What is this thing? Crossed the threshold, met these people, and 5 weeks later, I'd written, co-produced, and acted in a music video for the oldest punk rock band in Ireland. It was Carnage Vision. It was my baptism of fire, and everything went right. I don't know how this works. This never works.
And it's doing great on YouTube. It's got loads of views.
amazing, and I like Fergus.
Still doing great.
Yeah, like Fergus is one of my best friends. You know, with Jordan's part of the group, and it's just and Louis is part of the group. But it's basically Dublin Filmmakers. Follow it on Instagram and Facebook. You follow it. So it's a voluntary filmmaking group, and we always make sure everything is voluntary, where we share skills. There's actors, there's writers, there's filmmakers. One guy turned up and he actually worked with Donald Trump on The Apprentice. Do you know, you wouldn't know who would turn up. There's people working there, we know some people who were working on Netflix, aren't they? And they've all this equipment, but they're not writers. They're not actors, they're not directors. So it's going to live in hiatus for the summer, but follow our Dublin Filmmakers Instagram page, Facebook page, and we've had huge successes, haven't we, Fergus?
Yeah.
It's just
Well done to you for
amazing.
keeping that group
Yeah.
going for so long, nearly a decade now.
Thanks,
Well
nearly a
done,
decade,
Claire.
yes,
And I
yes.
have to say, you're so nice as well.
Oh.
Like,
She
Thank you
is.
so much.
That-
Thank you, I mean
absolutely.
a lot.
help yourselves.
You know, and that's why.
And Jordan put me
Oh,
on to you guys.
oh, amazing! And that's why filmmaking should be for everyone, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I will. But it should be inclusive, and that's what we try to do in Dublin Filmmakers. It shouldn't be, you don't have money, it doesn't matter, isn't that right? And yeah, use the group, I always say to people, and thank you so much, thank you.
And if you're anybody going to the Galway Film Flat?
Yeah!
Yes, there's loads of people. Well, one of the highlights this year is a film called Horseshoe.
Yeah!
And it was produced by Mo. So tell us all about it, Mo.
Well, interestingly enough, I found and run the Dublin International Comedy Film Festival, and we've loads of films from Dublin Filmmakers as well, screens every year, and they're all brilliant. So actually I was going to say, you want to join the club, and maybe that little girl wants to as well. There's a section where it's for comedy films by kids. So if you have a phone, and if you want to make a film, go off and make a film, and send it in to us. So on Instagram we're at Dub Comedy Film Fest, and we'd love to screen your films, and we had an amazing turnout last year with loads of families watching the kids' films, and they were brilliant. And there's nothing better than having kids. Like, kids just make everything better. Anyway, so I just thought I'd give you a shout out for that. So
Can
yeah,
I just
so,
interrupt? And this man has 8 of them. 8 kids, right?
8 kids, yeah, I couldn't believe it. It's like, how are you alive? You're not tired. But anyway, yeah, so at Dublin International Comedy Film Festival, this guy called Millane had a short called A Christmas Manor on. And we screened it, and it was here, we were having the awards and everything, and he came up to me, we were all having a great time, and he said, Mo, can I send you a pitch deck? And I said, yeah, okay. So he sent me a pitch deck for, it was called The Clan Canavan initially. And I said, geez, that's a great pitch deck. I was like, send me the script. So he sent me the script. The script is really cracking. It's really funny and really tight. And I was like, geez, this is great. What are you doing? He goes, well, will you come on board? And I was like, well, what's going on? He's just like, well, so this was in December, right? He's like, we're shooting January 15th for 15 days. Because that's when we have our locations to shoot in. And we also have to stay there, so it's our accommodation. And I was like, all right. So I was like, so you'll have Christmas and New Year's in the way? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I was like, you'll have about 10 days to organise a whole feature film.
Stressful.
In Sligo and Donegal. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, all right. So I said, okay. So on December 18th, I came on board. And yeah, it was about 10 days to cast it and crew it and get everyone down there. And we had an amazing time. With the crack. It was great. It was such good fun. And like the main thing I was afraid of people crashing because the ice on the roads, it was so dark and everything, but actually it was fine, it all went grand. And we all stayed in this massive Georgian house where we were filming. It was going to be the Clan Canavan's family home. And so all the crew stayed there, and it was kind of mouse infested and stuff and everything, but it was great. We just had loads of parties and stuff, and we shot a film together. And now, so we got completion funding from Screen Ireland, which was amazing. And now we are having our world premiere at the Galway Film Flag on Saturday, July 12th at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall Theatre. So you're all invited. We sold out very quickly our first portion of tickets. And so it'll go on sale again June 24th. But do come, even just for the crack. If you don't get in, usually Galway just let you in anyways. They let you stand at the back. But yeah, it is. But we're organising a massive after party. And we have a local distillery who's going to give us like free whiskey cocktails, and we're coming up with like horseshoe jokes. So hum like a horse is going to be one of the cocktails, donkey punch, and clip clop big cock. Sorry, anyway, so that's our so do come along and have those cocktails with us, it'd be great. Yeah, so it stars Carolyn Bracken, Laura Roddy, Mary Murray, John Connors. Oh, they're all brilliant, and they'll all be there, and so we'll all have the crack. So yeah, there. Anyways, there you go.
That's great. Last questions, guys. Last questions before we wrap it up.
What is film?
Gerard, that's a deep one.
What is film? Film is everything.
Nice answer. Nice answer.
It is an escape from reality. It's a good question, but it genuinely, for me, it's an escape from reality. You know, you have your 8 kids at home like I do, right? You have your life outside where you're teaching kids and you're working hard and you're trying to provide for your family. You stick on a film, like I mentioned, Cool Hand Luke, boom. You're focused on that film for 2.5 hours, and that is what film is. It escapes your mind from the reality, and it's something that we, as a world, I'd say, should keep continuing to do. Letting people escape from the reality. Reality, don't get me wrong, sometimes is brilliant, but as we know, sometimes it's awful. And film is that escape where it's your little quiet corner where you can go to your sitting room, you stick on a film, and you're like, boom, you don't think about anything else but that man eating 50, 60 eggs. That's it. That's what film is, you know? For me, that's what film is, and it's an escape from reality. So yeah, I'll always love film, I'll always love being part of it, and you know, that's what film is for me, yeah.
That's a brilliant answer. I think there's going to be a big queue for that drama school actors. I'm certainly inspired listening to all of that. Claire, what's film?
It's a window into all different realities and all different worlds from a viewer perspective, and from an acting, filmmaking, writing perspective. Film can change lives. I think it activates a part of your brain, all this creativity that a lot of people don't activate. I think I think it's magic. Film can be magic, and you probably know when you know myself, it does change lives, like literally from a viewer's perspective and people who are involved in it. And we need to keep it going, and if you're not getting the grants from Screen Ireland, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Right? Keep going, and use your phones, guys. Use your phones. Like that's the best tool you can have. Yeah.
Mo, what's film?
Well, I think it's the greatest of all art forms because it seems to have an awful lot of art forms rolled into it. You know? So it's like painting, music, and when dialogue is written well, it's like poetry almost. The rhythm of it is so good, you know. It has elements of theatre, obviously, because you've got your actors and everything. So it's just, it's a stunning experience, you know, especially when it's done right. There's nothing like it. I would say it's an escape from reality, but it's also a really good way to make people face themselves. So you trick them into it. It's like, this would be an escape. And you go in, and then you confront them with a story, and this is why we have storytelling, is so that people can kind of relate to people maybe they've not met before. Like, so we have an alt-right crisis in Ireland at the moment. So if you make a film about refugees, and you humanize them, because they are human beings, and you see, oh Jesus, they're just like me. You know, so what am I doing getting on the side of people throwing rocks, where they're staying and this type of thing. So that has a real capacity to create an environment and an atmosphere within our culture to change things politically and therefore for everyone's lives for the better, I would think. So it's an empathy doorway, is what I would say.
Empathy doorway, I love it. Yeah. This man here, I'm going to give you the microphone.
I just want to say, well done on everybody, and especially Jordan. Well done, you guys. And I just want to say big shout outs to you guys. And I'm gonna ask Gerard. I was wondering if you want to be in one of my films. I was kind of thinking an idea of
Right, so
of making a film with I want you to join my film because you'll be very good, and maybe some stage I will invite you to one of my films, and I'll make sure you get loads and loads of money, okay?
Well, that's an offer I can't refuse, but I'll tell you what, next time you do a film, I'll be in it. There you go. You're here, I'll be in your movie, next time you get it going, I'll be in your movie.
That man's going to go far. He's going to go far.
So.
We have one last question from this lady.
I'm just inquiring, the people that you audition for your parts, are they all from agencies? Because as I'm chap was saying, it's very hard to actually get an agent, so what do other people do?
Not at all, because I'm an actor and I know how I'm left out of auditions a lot by casting directors, and often, I didn't have an agent for years as well, so it took me ages. So no, I don't, and I will not use casting directors if I'm directing. I don't use them. Now, other directors might want to if I'm producing for them. I'm like, okay, but I'll let them know about actors that are not represented, and I'll let them know about actors that the casting director may not, suggest to them. I'll suggest, and I'll make sure they get into the audition. But when I'm directing, I'll cast from everywhere. I'll give a shit about Facebook, Instagram. I'll go to Dublin Filmmakers, go to Kino D. Can I see these people? Like, I will see everyone, and it will be the right person that will get cast. Not someone, I really don't give a crap about fame or anything like that. I'll cast the right person. And I don't like being shoved into casting someone that I'm not happy with,
Same here. I haven't cast as much as you, but I would just cast people on recommendations. Like, I might ask Fergus, or do you know someone, or yourself,
Thanks, Claire.
Do you know me, or yourself? But just like, it's such a small community. Do you mean, you might see a short film at one of these festivals, like, oh Jesus, that actor's brilliant, to be perfect. Isn't that how it works, isn't it? More so than casting directors or agents, because they can stop things as well. I know people who stopped getting really good parts, because it wasn't paid, but it was an amazing part because their agent said no, and then they didn't get another opportunity because they didn't go for that unpaid part. So it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like I've had parts that I was meant to turn down because of the agent and the casting director and everything else, and they weren't paid. Sometimes they're the best parts you'll ever turn down, you know, because it's a story written by a real person that was really passionate about the project, and sometimes you gotta just ignore the noise. Like my agent, for example, I know he passed away recently, but he was saying, "Oh, do it." He was saying, "Do the One by a Friend, because it's a really good script. I've read it and it's passionate, it's good. It means a lot to him. I can see by the reading of the script that it means everything. Don't worry about me." I showed it to him, but he was like, "Go for it." Because sometimes you gotta do things for free. It's not all about money. It's like, if you're in this for money, take a hike, go the other way. It's not. You gotta be passionate. If you're not passionate about what you do, leave. Don't do it again. Because you're gonna have to write your own stuff. You're gonna have to direct your own stuff eventually. You're gonna have to do, you have to do whatever it takes to be where you wanna be. And if you're listening to casting directors or agents, give up. Because casting directors are not always right, as we've seen in recent movies and recent films. I've seen some bad castings. I'm sure everybody else here has too. They're not the right person for the job. They got it because they're famous. Like Mo said, they're really famous, and we'll cast him because that's safe, or we'll cast her because she'll get the most box office in. No, they're not the right person for the job, and that's what you got to think in your head. And you got to keep going. I know I keep saying the term "keep going," because rejection should be your friend. You know, you will only learn by being rejected so many times. Or, on the other hand, and these guys will tell you as well, not hearing anything at all is brilliant. Because you know, I didn't do well there, but I gotta keep going. But like, just keep going, just keep doing you, just keep believing in yourself no matter what. No matter what anybody says. Family members will tell you to stop. They'll tell you, you're not earning money from this. And we know we're not earning money from this. But you have to keep going, because they don't believe in the same passion that you believe in, whether you're a writer, director, it doesn't matter what you are. Just keep going. Just believe in yourself and have the self-belief, and you'll go far. Trust me.
And just with agents, I came out of acting school. You have a showcase the end of 2 years, you know, and when the phone rings, my phone never rang, you know, and you're quite devastated because you put so much work into all this, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. The best thing, to not have an agent for 10 years, because people got the agents, got lazy, and they've given up. But when I didn't get an agent, I was like, "Fuck this, I want a career as an actor, I want to be a writer," and it pushed me so much to create my own work. So the best thing that ever happened to me was not having an agent for 10 years. I don't know if you...
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes the tougher the road, the better, really, because you start to plant more seeds, and then, you know, they grow. It's great. Because I mean, the thing is, really, like, you know, why do you do this? Because you enjoy it. So then just do it. Yeah, you know. And I mean, there's such a community. Everyone wants to kind of work and do something. You know, Irish people are so talented, and like, there's very little work. So then there's loads of creative people on the ground. So just work with them and start creating. I mean, I've made like 12 shorts with no money, you know. So yeah, and then you eventually start getting funded and stuff. But you don't really notice it then. If you're waiting for the phone to ring, you'll notice those years go by. But if you're making your own stuff, you're just really happy.
You know, and also very important to have the crack. Because anytime I'm producing a film or a theatre show, I'm like, "Lads, just remember, have the crack. We're not here to torture ourselves." Isn't that right for this?
Gotta enjoy it. Absolutely. Brilliant. I don't know about you guys, but I am inspired having listened to these three people. So give it up for Mo, for Claire, and for Gerard. Hey!
And Fergus. And to Jordan.
To Jordan! Thanks a million, guys. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. We'll see you again. This guy will be back in 10 years' time doing his own. We'll be doing a Q&A with him.
Send your films to DICFF. Please. Do.
That was nice.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we're wrapping up now, please feel free to join the music outside in the Jenna Bar and have a few drinks on the way, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for going. And have a good night.
Meaning, like, I got a bunch of stretch that I'm working on.
Why am I not part of it?
Good.